ओम परतत्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्ण समाज्ञया यो धर्म स्थापन रतो वीरेशम तम नमाम्यहम. We are studying here Swami Vivekananda's Bhakti Yoga, and we are in the 8th chapter. The heading of the chapter is Worship of Substitutes and Images. Let us concentrate on this name for some time. Worship. Whoever has devotion to God, in the beginning, has a tendency to worship Him. That is a human nature. Adore Him, decorate Him, offer yourself to Him, offer some food items to Him, wave light before Him, put flowers and sandal paste and whatnot, whatever you can think of. If not physically, then mentally. This is the inclination, the tendency of human mind. And we know that God, as Swamiji defined it, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Karta, and above all, Sa Isha Anirvachaniya Prema Swarupa. Now that Swarupa, when it comes in our bodha, in our consciousness, we simply melt in Him. We have no occasion, time, inclination to worship Him. But before that, the love is flowing, and along with the love there is adoration, respecting Him as the highest in life. So this inevitably tends to a desire for worshipping Him. And unless we do that also according to the level of the mind. It may not be physical, it may be mental, but it is a worship. And as per the level of the mind, it can be physical also. Now, how to reconcile these two things? God is the very consciousness of ours. God is the creator of ours. How can we worship Him? And so, but the tendency to worship is very much present in us. So what we do? We pray to God. Even when we know that God is our own real nature. No, theoretically, we have not realized. And so the desire to worship is present. So knowing that God is within us, we have to pray to that God. Please come out for some time, because I want to worship you. And be present in front of me. Maybe in some symbol, maybe in something which is very holy, maybe something through which I can worship you. And so, worship of substitutes. We know it is not God, but we are not worshipping that substitute. As we proceed, Swamiji will tell us. Through that substitute we are worshipping God. As we cannot worship God in His own Swarupa, we are forced to our very inclination to worship Him forces us to worship Him through some substitute. Now this substitute cannot be at random. Substitute cannot be anything chosen by us, but that through which we can conceive of God, through which we can worship God in our mind. In this respect, lot of things are to be thought of. The Mohammedans came to India and started breaking every image which we erected for God. Every image. That was their religion. They took it as their religion, that we should break every image so that nobody can worship God in the image. They worship the Nirakara. But as Swamiji has pointed out, why should we go to Kaaba every year? Why we should hit a stone there by another stone, thinking of it as devil? Is that stone devil? Is it possible for the stone to be devil? Is it not a substitute you are hitting at? Can you do without substitute? And you can have a substitute for devil, and you cannot have a substitute for God. So this is only limitation of the mind. And they could not deter Hindus from worshipping images, though they went on breaking the images. All the main temples of Hindus, India, Kashi Vishwanath, Mathura Dwarkadish, Ayodhya Ramchandra, and innumerable others. Take one example. They destroyed the holiest of the holy places in Hindu's mind, that is Varanasi, Shiva Mandir. Could they stop the Hindus, or rather the Indians, from worshipping Shiva? There came Ahilyabai Holkar from Indore. Just behind the old Vishwanath Mandir, which was converted into a mosque, just at the back of that, Shiva Linga was established, and up till today Hindus are worshipping it. Same thing happened in Ayodhya, and we all know the history now. Same thing in Mathura. They broke the Dwarkadish temple there. Just behind that, Hindus have erected another mandir. So this is the need of the human mind. Essentially it has to be there. You can never break it. What happened later on? I described the Muslim invasion. Somnath, how many times? 15, 16, 17 times they broke it. Hindus reconstructed it. But came the Britishers. They brought two things with them. Education policy, Macaulay's education policy, and Christian religion came behind them. And they did not break any Hindu temple anywhere. They broke Hindus' ideas through education. They hammered Hindus' ideas through education. And Macaulay said, he has written in the education bill, in 30 years, I will make the Bengalis forget Kali. 1836, he got the education bill passed. We are approaching almost 2036, another 15 years. So 185 years have passed. Have the Bengalis forgotten Kali? Impossible. But the education came. And through that education, they did not break any image. But through that education, they told us that you are idolaters, you are Murti Pujakas. Muslims tried to tell us through the breaking of the images. It never broke our hearts. The Britishers converted our thinking and impressed upon us that the images you are worshipping are not God. And because of their teaching, we started believing that we are idol worshippers, including the great Swami Vivekananda. And when he came to Sri Ramakrishna, what did he see? Swamiji himself has stated, because I had that wrong idea of idolatry, I had to learn all my lessons sitting at the feet of one who had achieved everything through that very worship. So life is the testimony, not any ideas. I had to learn all my lessons sitting at the feet of a person who achieved everything through idol worship. And then Swamiji started telling us, we are not idol worshippers. We are not idol worshippers at all. That he will show in this chapter also. Swamiji says, have you seen a Hindu standing before a stone or a tree and praying to the stone, please do this for me or do that for me? Praying to the tree to do this thing or that thing for me? We are not idolaters. Through that stone we are praying to God. Through that tree we are praying to God. Because we have found some similarity between this and that, so we are praying to God. We are not idolaters at all. But before Swami Vivekananda came to Sri Ramakrishna, there arose some great people. Raja Rammohn Roy, Dayananda Saraswati, and some similar people in Mumbai. Even Dayananda Saraswati started his Arya Samaj in Mumbai. And they thought the Christian onslaught is so strong that the Hinduism will collapse. Because Hindus have started believing we are idolaters and it is wrong, superstition. So they thought, Dayananda and Rammohn, we are not idolaters. There is no idolatry in the Vedas. It is a later superimposition in the medieval ages. So that by telling the Hindus that you are not idolaters, they could stand against the Christian onslaught. That was the only historical importance of these things. They could make the Hindus feel to some extent their strength by denying that which was very much a fact, by saying that in the original Vedas it is not there. You know, in Vedas we are worshipping through fire. Is it not a substitute? Is fire God? Fire can stand for God. Not only that, the Kalpana idea of several gods is there in the Vedas. And we are worshipping, offering to those gods through the fire. Are we free from worship of substitutes? But somehow or other, the educated class of India became influenced by that. So that was the first reaction or response to the Christian onslaught. We must understand this historical evolution. Then came Sri Ramakrishna. And he showed it is not idol worship. There is nothing wrong in that. So Hinduism as it stood at that time was revived in its own ancient glory, not by chiseling and removing something and taking something. And so, today we see that it is growing like anything. You know, if you are little aware of the recent history or everyday happening, in England, in Australia, especially in these two countries, many churches are being converted into temples. Many. Because the people are losing faith to worship in those churches. They are becoming Nastikas. And the churches are left empty. Then some Hindu organization takes hold of it, converts it into a temple and becomes a living temple. This is happening every day. And on the other hand, if you can see, people are getting converted to Hinduism from Christianity, from Islam, from whatnot, in every country. The main point is not Hindu. The main point is that so-called idol worship is not idol worship. So-called idol worship is the essential need of human mind, and this was proved, demonstrated by nobody smaller than Bhagavan himself as Sri Ramakrishna. And as Swamiji has shown in the previous chapters, we cannot even conceive of God what it is until we see the incarnation. They are the living gods. And we are bound to worship them unless there is some worms in our mind, some sankuchitata, some narrowness. And so, that is what is important for us to grow spiritually. We must have some substitute with the idea, with the consciousness that we are worshipping God. Those who understood a little of tantric worship, we pray to God, please come out of my heart, be in this a flower, a Banalingam. Even when we worship, take an image or a photo We are not doing Abhishek on that photo or on that image. We may do once in a while, but not every day. But that reminds us of God, and we take up some separate symbol, like a Shaligram Shila, like a Vanalingam, like a flower even, and in that way invoke God from our own heart and worship God there. After the worship is over, we know more than others that God is in our own heart. Does everybody know this? And so, we request Him to come back to our heart. On the last occasion, I told you one incident of Mathur Babu and Sri Ramakrishna. He became so much intoxicated with the worship of the mother in the form of the image, and that was mainly because Sri Ramakrishna was present there, so the image had become more living. But he became so much intoxicated. I will not do any Visarjan for this mother. I will worship it every day. And because of his temperament, people become afraid. And Sri Ramakrishna just touched his chest and said, "Where will mother go? You say that you cannot live without the mother. How can mother live without the child? How can she go away? She has taken your worship in that image. Now she will always take worship in your heart." And Mathur was pacified. So that is the whole secret of image worship. I will tell you a funny story. Two foreigners came to India and visited several places. After going back, one of them is telling that these Hindus are superstitious like anything. They bow down before a tree, bow down before a stone and what not. The other friend said, let alone that, they are mad. They create a very beautiful image and they stand in front of that image and close their eyes. Where they have made this beautiful image, if they want to close their eyes? So understand, the second is the answer to the first. They want to worship God in their own heart. And this image helps them to feel God there. They close their eyes. They have seen the beautiful image that has aroused the feeling of devotion that God is in my heart, and they close the eyes. If you have seen in some temples the circumambulation, what they call the pradakshina, in some Indian languages it is called parikrama, circumambulation. But pradakshina tells that the God is to be kept always to the right in that circumambulation. And in some temples, there is no such provision. There is no space allotted for the circumambulation. Or even if it is there, what people do? They stand in front of that image, close their eyes, and rotate where they are standing, there itself. That is circumambulation of God who is in their own heart. So if they can feel God in their own heart, they need not do that physical circumambulation. They just rotate themselves, around themselves, 3 times, 4 times, or whatever they want. No, all this is true so long as it rouses devotion for God in you. If it does not, then it is idol worship. If you are worshipping, Swamiji is telling this in this chapter. Some people worship their ancestors. They are not God. And you are not worshipping God through them. You are worshipping simply because they are superior to you. And you belong to them. This narrow idea makes you worship your ancestors. That is idolatry. And you worship many gods. Without the concept that they stand for Ishvara, that is idolatry. Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells in the Gita, ये तो अन्य देवता भक्ता ते यजन्ति माम एव अविधि पूर्वकम. Their vidhi, their process is lost because their idea is lost. So what is important is the concept, the consciousness, the awareness that I love God, I want to worship Him. If this is there, it is not idol worship. Please understand this very clearly. So Swamiji has taken up this important point in the Bhakti Yoga. It is the 8th chapter. Swamiji has shown us the definition of bhakti, the philosophy of Ishvara. And he has pointed out that spiritual realization is the aim of Bhakti Yoga. He has pointed out the need of a guru, all very practical. And he has pointed out the qualifications of the aspirant and the teacher, without which you cannot proceed. He has talked about incarnation, incarnate teachers and incarnation. And in the 7th chapter, the mantra Om, words and wisdom. At this point, he feels that this important topic must be brought if Bhakti Yoga is to be followed. Worship of substitutes and images. I told you the other day, images is a form of substitute. In some people's mind, the image brings the idea of God much more concretely. And when you are talking of images, some funny ideas I will tell you, not funny actually, but apparently funny. It is just a substitute. When the mind, when the human being in his heart gets some experience, take one example, the Kali of the Kali Ghat in Calcutta. What is the appearance? Some, what we should call cadaverous stone, painted with sinduram. And in place of 2 eyes, something is fixed, maybe cowdies or something. And Ramprasad and Kamalakant, the great devotees, are seeing the insurpassable beauty of Kali through that image. And they are describing Kali like anything as they are seeing. So, this symbol has brought to their mind the form of Kali, so it is not idolatry at all. Similarly, the case of Vithoba in Pandharpur in Maharashtra. Not a beautiful figure to look at from outside, but the saints are describing the insurpassable beauty of Vithoba or Panduranga. So with the help of that external symbols, they are able to see the inner beauty of God. So, substitutes and images. Images are images are a form of substitute. There are many substitutes. So the Swamiji is starting the next points to be considered. Because he has said next point, so we must remember all other points, and that is why I read out the headings of the previous paragraphs. Because Swamiji has said the next point. Next means after all these points. So those points also should be remembered. To be considered are the worship of pratikas. Pratika, Swamiji has defined that, or of things more or less satisfactory as substitutes for God. This has to be read carefully. Not the usual language, more or less, no, more or less, to separate things. More or less, approximately, no, that is not the meaning here. Some substitutes are more satisfactory for God. Some substitutes may be less satisfactory for God, but they are substitutes for God. So more or less satisfactory as substitutes for God. And the worship of pratimas or images. Pratima means similar to that. Pratika means towards that. What is the worship of God through a pratika? Not pratika worship, God's worship through pratika. It is abrahmani brahma drishtya anusandhanam. This Swamiji is giving Ramanuja's definition. Joining the mind with devotion to that which is not Brahman, taking it to be Brahman, says Bhagavan Ramanuja. We will know that it is not Brahman, but due to some similarity, we are worshipping, taking it as Brahman. Another important point which struck me here today, because we are reading in Viveka Chudamani about bhakti, and some Vedantis, they say, it is not bhakti, Swaswarupanusandhanam, Atmatattvanusandhanam. And I want to ask, every time they say this, can you tell me what is Anusandhanam? Swamiji has translated Anusandhanam. And Anusandhana is joining the mind with devotion. That is Anusandhana. Anusandhana is joining the mind with devotion. That is Swami Ekananda's translation of the word Anusandhan. So the devotion has come back. We discussed during reading Viveka Chudamani that there is Bhaga Lakshana. We cannot give up the original meaning of the word bhakti. We can add a little, we can subtract a little. And so, Anusandhan here means joining the mind with devotion. To that which is not Brahman, we are sure, taking it to be Brahman. Says Bhagavan Ramanuja. Example is giving of subtler entities, not outside images, but images. Not outside pratikas, but pratikas. So in the Vedas, directly in the Upanishads, worship the mind as Brahman. This is internal. Internal. The modern people call subjective. No, subtler. Now mind is that instrument which is capable of thinking of God. Through the mind we think of God. So mind is a substitute for God. That is a similarity between mind and God. That is internal. And the Akasha is Brahman. This is with regard to the Devas, says Shankara. That is commentary on the Kenopanishad. Now Akasha, Devas means cosmic things are called Devas. Individual things are internal, cosmic things are called Devas. So Akasha is a cosmic thing. Because it is all-pervading, God is the real all-pervading. So we take Akasha as the substitute. We know it is not God, but we are worshipping God through that substitute. That is what Kenopanishad teaches us. The mind is an internal pratika, the Akasha is an external one, that Devas he has translated as the external one, and both have to be worshipped as substitutes of God. He continues, Shankara continues, Similarly, the sun is Brahman, this is the command. Sun is Brahman, this is the command means sun is not Brahman, but worship it as Brahman. That is why the word command has come. Sun is Brahman does not mean sun is Brahman. Sun is Brahman. Taking sun to be Brahman worship, that is the teaching, command. He who worships name as Brahman, this is Chandogya 7th chapter. Narad goes to Sanat Kumar and asks, Revered sir, teach me. Sanat Kumar asks him, tell me what you know. Whatever is less, I will tell you. So Narada describes his knowledge of the external world and says, I know all this, but I do not know myself. Sanat Kumar tells him, all that you know is only name, without any reality. But can you not think of name as coming from Brahman? So why not make it a substitute and worship Brahman through that? Then Narada's attention is turned inside. And then he says, is there something superior which can be worshipped as God? That is what Swamiji was telling, more or less satisfactory. He said, yes. Your organ of speech, which has articulate sounds, that you can worship as substitute for Brahman, because that has come from Brahman only. Is there something superior? Mind is superior because mind contains both the organ of speech and the sounds. So it is superior. What is superior than that? What is superior than that? 22 substitutes are described in the Chandogya Upanishad by Sanat Kumar. More and more, because the mind can catch it. So take that. There is nothing wrong. When mind becomes adept to that, mind wants something higher, then take it that. Like that, 22 substitutes are described. Finally, the infinitude of Brahman is aroused in the consciousness. So, that Swamiji refers here, name is, he who worships name as Brahman will get this result, like that. In all such passages, the doubt arises as to the worship of pratikas. The word pratika means going towards, pratiik. And worshipping a pratika is worshipping something as a substitute which is in some one or more respects like Brahman more and more. More and less now is more and more. But is not Brahman. Along with the pratikas mentioned in the Shrutis, all these were through Upanishads. There are various others to be found in the Puranas and the Tantras. In this kind of pratika worship may be included all the various forms of Pitri worship and Deva worship. And then Swamiji will tell that is idolatry, that is not substitute. We are not able to take them as God Himself. But like pratik worship it is there, so included. We had read up to that point. But today we started from the beginning, the need of this. Now, worshipping Ishvara and Him alone is bhakti. That Swamiji has already inculcated. The worship of anything else, Devas or Pitri or any other being cannot be bhakti. The various kinds of worship of the various Devas are all to be included in the ritualistic karma. It is a Shubha karma, not devotion, which gives to the worshipper only a particular result in the form of some celestial enjoyment, but can neither give rise to bhakti nor lead to mukti. So you have seen that bhakti yoga is that bhakti which leads us to mukti. Bhakti itself will not come, then how will mukti come? So Swamiji has made a clear distinction between idolatry and pratika worship. One thing therefore has to be carefully borne in mind. If, as it may happen in some cases, the highly philosophic idea, the Supreme Brahman, is dragged down by pratika worship to the level of the pratika, and the pratika itself is taken to be the Atman of the worshipper, or is Antaryamin, the worshipper gets entirely misled. So we must clear this point. What is actual pratik worship and what is idolatry? As no pratika can really be the Atman of the worshipper. But where Brahman himself is the object of worship and the pratika stands only as a substitute or a suggestion thereof, that is to say, where through the pratika the omnipresent Brahman is worshipped, the pratika itself being idealized into the cause of all. So Brahman is not dragged down, the pratika is idealized. Brahman, the worship is positively beneficial. Nay, it is absolutely necessary for all mankind until they have all got beyond the primary or preparatory state of the mind in regard to worship. Unless we have transcended that primary form, unless the love is flowing in us, this pratika worship becomes absolutely necessary. When therefore any gods or other beings are worshipped in and for themselves, why we are doing this worship? Because he will give me this or that. Such worship is only a ritualistic karma. Karma gives good result, this worship gives good result. And as a Vidya, Vidya means special science. It gives us only the fruit belonging to that particular Vidya. But when the Devas or any other beings are looked upon as Brahman and worshipped, the result obtained is the same as by the worshipping of Ishvara. So depends upon the inner attitude, depends upon the inner concept, depends upon the inner consciousness, whether we are worshipping this or through that something higher. This explains how in many cases, both in the Shrutis and the Smritis, a god or a sage or some other extraordinary being is taken up and lifted, as it were, out of its own nature and idealized into Brahman and is then worshipped. Says the Advaitin, is not everything Brahman? When the name and form have been removed from all, is not he the Lord, the innermost self of everyone? Says the Vishishta Advaitin. So two ideas he has given. Advaitin says everything is a form of God, so through every form we can worship God. Vishishta Advaitin says that he is not the innermost self of all, so we can worship him through that. Phalam adityadi upasaneshu brahma eva dasyati sarvadhyakshitvat. So who gives the result if I am worshipping sun? Brahman himself, because he is the president of all, adhyakshatvat. That means only in the presence of Brahman this fruit is coming to me. The fruition of even the worship of Adityas, etc., Brahman himself bestows because he is the ruler of all. Says Shankara in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya. So Ramanuja had that much. This is now again Shankara. Idrisham chatra brahmana upasyatvam yata pratikeshu tad drishtya adhyaropanam pratimadishu iva Vishnu adinam. We create an image, Shankha Chakra Gada Padmadhari, and we take it to be Vishnu. Similarly, Shankaracharya says, all these pratikas give the rise of idea in the mind of Brahman. The same ideas apply to the worship of the Pratimas as to that of the Pratikas. That is to say, if the image stands for a god or a saint, the worship is not the result of bhakti and does not lead to liberation. Very clear. But if it stands for the one God, the worship thereof will bring both bhakti and mukti, real bhakti and mukti. If the concept, if that stands for God the Supreme. Not because he will give me this power and that power. That we see so much in this society, that is not bhakti yoga, absolutely. I do not take names here. But people worship saints as if they are separate from God, and that cannot be bhakti. The Brahmajna is worshipped as Brahman because the Brahman knowledge is flowing through him. That is bhakti, as the Mundaka will tell us. But worshipping some saint for the power which he bestows on us is not bhakti at all. Not at all. Of the principal religions of the world, we see Vedantism, Buddhism and certain forms of Christianity freely using images. Buddhism. Some people have very wrong concept that Buddha preached against idol worship. Show me one place. Some historians are of the opinion that what we call idol worship started after Buddha. You know, Buddha is worshipped in how many forms? Avalokiteshvara, this Ishvara, that Ishvara, Buddha himself. So, Buddha denied the yajna worship. That was due to Pashuhinsa. And people could not do yajna openly. So that stoop of the yajna, they made into a small Shiva symbol, and Buddha himself became the greatest symbol or image of God. And see, Buddhists freely worship this. Every Buddhist temple you go, they worship Buddha. And certain forms of Christianity. The Catholics, they worship Christ and the Christ Mother and all that. Only two religions, Mohammedanism and Protestantism, refuse such help. Yet the Mohammedans use the graves of their saints and martyrs almost in the place of images, Pira Puja. Saints and martyrs in the cause of religion. And the Protestants, in rejecting all concrete helps to religion, are drifting away every year farther and farther from spirituality, till at present there is scarcely any difference between the advanced Protestants and the followers of Auguste Comte or agnostics who preach ethics alone. Auguste Comte's positivism and agnostics, they do not worship God. They say practice ethics and you will evolve. So Protestants, in denying all forms of images, have become equal. Swamiji is very candid. He is not afraid like us. He is telling the content of each religion. And he is telling the what is inside. So Protestants and Mohammedans, in trying to reject the images, have rejected experience. I was questioned by one of the so-called followers of Swami Vivekananda himself. I remember that. If we know God is Nirgun Nirakar, why are we stuck up in Sagun Sakar? And those people worship Bharat Mata, that is Nirgun for them. I replied, there is no question of getting stuck up. When we worship Sagun Sakar, we get a feeling that we are worshipping. And that is more important. And through that, we will reach your Nirgun Nirakar. That is what the Gita preaches. Again, in Christianity and Mohammedanism, whatever exists of images worship is made to fall under the category in which the pratika or the pratima is worshipped in itself, but not as a help to the vision. Help to the vision, in Sanskrit, Swami has used drishti saukaryam. Help to the vision. That means seeing this, we are reminded of that, which we cannot see today. Help to the vision of God. Therefore, it is at best only of the nature of ritualistic karmas and cannot produce either bhakti or mukti. In this form of image worship, the allegiance of the soul is given to other things than Ishvara, and therefore such use of images or graves or temples or tombs is real idolatry. It is in itself neither sinful nor wicked. It is a right, a karma, and worshippers must and will get the fruit thereof. So even that Swamiji is not criticizing. It is not bhakti or mukti, we will get the fruit thereof. In this way we could complete the 8th chapter today. So, 9th chapter next time. Om Paratatve Sadalino Ramakrishna Samagyaya Yo Dharma Sthapana Rato Viresham Tam Namamyam. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamast.